Remember when I told you that in Marvel Comics, everything is canon? Well, that was only mostly true. Which, to be fair, is the easiest kind of true to explain. Today, I'm going to actually explain. This is Issue at Hand, Polygon's series about the weird world of comics, and I'm your host, Susana Polo. Today, we discover the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Back at the beginning of this series, I told you that the DC Universe is a multiverse that goes through cycles of expanding complexity, punctuated by line-wide continuity reboots. Marvel's approach to continuity is both simpler and more complex. As I mentioned in our Logan episode, in Marvel, everything is canon, unless it's specifically individually retconned by a later story. The company's continuity has been continuously running since 1961 as a theoretically infinite multiverse of thousands of numerically designated worlds representing different dimensions, parallel Earths, and alternate timelines. The main Marvel universe is Earth 616, but you've also got the X-Men Days of Future Past timeline, the Marvel Zombies universe, the one where Iron Man is a woman and married to Captain America, and a lot more. Generally, Marvel's attitude towards stuff that doesn't fit the main universe isn't to declare it non-canonical, but to just say, throw it in an alternate universe, it'll be fine. And that's worked a lot better for Marvel than it has for DC. Why? Well, I have some vague theories, like that Marvel's continuity is much younger and more tonally consistent than DC's, and was created by a smaller pool of writers and artists. And unlike DC's Earth 2, Watchmen, or Wildstorm settings, no particular Marvel universe has ever really rivaled the main one for its sales or reader interest, so the editorial need to merge timelines was not particularly strong, until Earth 1610, the Ultimate Marvel universe. Launching at the turn of the new millennium, Ultimate Marvel began with Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men, two books that started from their beginning with updated, modernized origin stories for Marvel's most famous heroes. For example, in Ultimate Marvel continuity, Peter Parker was bitten by a genetically engineered spider, not a radioactive one. Similar to a reboot, the books jettisoned decades of continuity for a fresh approach, but unlike a reboot, the Ultimate Marvel stories didn't replace the main Spider-Man and X-Men continuity, so for years, books set in both universes were being published concurrently. Ultimate Marvel was perfect for new readers worried about having to absorb decades of continuity, and it came along just when X-Men and Spider-Man kicked off the modern superhero blockbuster trend in film. And in no small thanks to the work of some of the biggest names in comics in the 2000s, the sales of Ultimate Marvel books were rivaling or straight up outselling their main universe counterparts. And what happens when a superhero universe gets really popular?
It sticks around?
Yes, and what happens to superhero universes that get old?
They get complicated.
Yes, they get so complicated. In 2015, Marvel announced that it would be shuttering the Ultimate Marvel line, and it's no wonder. What should have been the easy stepping-on point for new readers was now a universe with 15 years of continuity to catch up on. And it wasn't even like the main universe. In the company's Secret Wars event, the Marvel Multiverse was destroyed and then remade in a nearly identical way, and this was used as an opportunity to merge some of the Ultimate Marvel Universe's most popular original characters into Earth 616. These days, the legacy of the Ultimate Marvel Universe lives on in two characters, and the first is actually in the Marvel movies.
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
In 2002, writer Mark Millar and artist Brian Hitch reintroduced Nick Fury to the Ultimate Universe, and this time, the traditionally James Bond-looking character bore an incredibly strong resemblance to Samuel L. Jackson. The comic even made jokes about it. There are some very inside baseball stories about whether Jackson actually gave prior permission for this, but either way, it's considered one of the big reasons he was cast as Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I am very real. I'm the realest person you're ever gonna meet.
But the biggest Ultimate Universe character out there is really Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man. Miles was introduced in 2011 in a story arc where he takes up the mantle of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe after its Peter Parker was killed. As a child, Miles was bitten by a spider that had been part of an attempt to recreate the conditions of Peter Parker's superhero origin, and he developed similar abilities. But, afraid of his family's reaction, Miles hid his powers, until he witnessed Spider-Man's death at the hands of the Green Goblin, and realized that with great power comes great responsibility. Moved to act, he began fighting crime under the name Spider-Man, albeit with a somewhat different costume. Miles's books were popular and well received, and when Earth 616 was remade in Secret Wars, he and his supporting cast were melded into the main Marvel continuity, one of only a few fragments of the Ultimate Marvel Universe that survived. Miles has continually made headlines inside the comic community and out for the fact that he's a character of African American and Puerto Rican descent who took over the role of a white superhero. There are a lot of nerds out there who are super ready to see Miles on the big screen. And there are a lot of nerds who are just fine with having a new Peter Parker-based franchise every 5 years on the average. But if Miles has been the subject of a lot of internet arguments, then at least he's also famous for being in some really good comics. And now that he's in Earth 616, he's got his own book again and is on 2 superhero teams, the Avengers and the new all-teen group, the Champions. And that's Marvel Comics canon. Unless it gets specifically retconned later. Miles' books were popular and well received. Let me pronounce Miles better than that. Miles has continually made headsigns, and the new all-teen group, and now that he's in Earth 16, unless it's so I was so close.